Yeah, I'm sure. Want to make sure we take some time for questions here. First question is, where'd the name come from?
Probably a lot less interesting story than people probably expect. I think people expect when you have a name like Belly, they expect some like crazy interesting story like, oh, Logan's fat, so he named the company Belly. It's a great built-in excuse for me not to diet, though. Can't have a skinny CEO of Belly.
There's a question here. Has anyone ever told you look like Zach Galifianakis?
Oh, fuck off. I hate that. I mean, that is the worst. It's like people always say that to me. People say that to me and then they laugh. It's like, oh, you look like Zach Galifianakis. Oh, he's hilarious. It's like, you never laugh when you say someone looks like Brad Pitt. It's certainly not a compliment, to be honest. Whoever sent that in, thank you very much. Not a compliment. Oh, he's really funny. Awesome. So with Belly, we were actually, like I said, when we started, we had an app that we called Belly Flop. Shit name, terrible name. You can see like the TechCrunch headline, like Belly Flop flops. I mean, it's just awful. But it was more of an app game, and we started to iterate, and we wanted to change the name. So we started going through all sorts of different ideas. If I had my way, we would be Carrot. That would be the name of the company. But the guy who owned Carrot.com wanted $1 million, so didn't get Carrot. And so we started going through all these iterations, but we had the domain bellyflop.com, so we put the product up on that site. And as we were going through a design meeting, we were actually changing. We were going through and doing a design meeting. We knew we were going to change the name, but we didn't have the new name yet. So we knew it was going to be shorter, so we cut Belly Flop down to Belly. And we were just sitting there with Belly on the page, and it just sort of stuck. They came up with the tagline "Full of Rewards," and came up with Flop is our dog mascot, as our crazy little pup, and so Belly just stuck.
Yeah, one question was, what kind of dog is that? I had that question.
Some sort of terrier, I guess. I don't know. He's very loyal, though.
But his name is Flop.
His name is Flop.
He's very loyal. I promised I would get that answer
sort of terrier.
From your number one fan.
Yeah, he's some sort of terrier. He's very loyal. He's got a lot of attitude. Sleeps a lot, and he's quite a character.
In your PR, it says here, one of the questions is you stress quirky rewards. How much is that a part of your business versus a fun thing to talk about in the press?
I mean, quirky rewards, it's not about building quirky rewards. I mean, that's not a part of our business really at all. But, a lot of our rewards end up being quirky. For us, it's about creating more, experiences, more personal connections. And so the rewards that are quirky is because the businesses are quirky. It's about finding rewards that are a fit for the kind of the culture, the personality, the brand of the business. And so some of the rewards end up being quirky, like a punch in the stomach, but that's not because that's what we're trying to do. It's because that fits that business.
Mm-hmm. Got to tell the story of the punch in the stomach, man. I mean, this is a legend now for your business.
This is so crazy, but I got to take a 1-minute break.
All right.
Is that cool?
Sure.
Sorry guys, I've had like 4 beers. I'll be like right back.
All right, so this is the first intermission in the history of Chicago Founder Stories.
That's the only thing people will remember, I'm sure.
But I have to say, it is an all-you-can-eat and drink event, and I appreciate that our special guest is making the most of it. Exactly. Love Tom Ryan. Yeah. So a couple more questions and we'll wrap up here. But one question they have here is, have you thought about going hardwareless a la Square?
Have we thought about going hardwareless? Well, Square.
I think hardware is it Square.
Square is has hardware. Yeah. So
okay.
Well, I mean, Square has.
Let me modify the question.
Square has Pay with Square, which is also kind of a mobile payment solution. But that works in retailers that have Square as their either point of sale, as their payment processor. So there's still a hardware requirement there. Have we thought about going hardwareless? I mean, obviously, yeah, we've thought about it. But right now, the iPad that we put in store is, a core part of our solution. It's not only, a part of creating an engaging experience, part of creating, a verified in-store visit, but it's also a constant reminder. It's a great marketing tool. Every Belly business, you walk into a business that uses Belly, it's not just a window sticker that notifies you. I mean, you see an iPad at point of sale, it's very hard to miss the fact that that this business is a Belly location. It's very good.
Great. I mean, I live just off of Southport.
Yeah.
It's like overnight, our whole street had Belly iPads everywhere.
Well, that, and also it's a great way for us to work on re-engagement. I mean, I think most people know, if you look at mobile stats, it's like 90% of people that download an app open it one time and never use it again. With us, whether you're downloading the app or signing up for a card, you may forget that you signed up for Belly. You may not use it again for 3 months. But if you go back into a business, or you go into a new business that's signed up with Belly, you see that iPad in store. You know that you've seen the app before. You know that you signed up for a card. So we have an opportunity to re-engage. We have an opportunity to recapture that customer. And so, for us, it's not just about creating the in-store visit, or the verified in-store visit. It's not just about the experience in store, but it's also a core part of our acquisition strategy.
One of the questions here I want to just tweak slightly, which is, from your perspective, as you start to get penetration, is there a time in which you have to go door to door, and a time in which you can just do it all on the phone, or how's that work?
Yeah, so that's when you're talking about like acquisition strategy. We have different strategies based on entering new markets, or based on kind of more established markets. Chicago, obviously, it's a different acquisition strategy for us. We have over 1,000 locations in Chicago. It's a different acquisition strategy for us in Chicago than when we go to Atlanta, when we have 0 businesses.
So talk a little bit about how you pick how'd you pick new markets, and what'd you learn about how to roll out well in new markets?
So we're still learning. Market selection is something that we spend a lot of time on. We invest in. There's a process for market selection, which is a blend of art and science. We have data that we collected that evaluates all top DMAs, every market based on population density, number of small businesses, per capita kind of use of coupon consumption. We have different metrics of demographics, all of those different things. And we're able to you put all those data points into a kind of a criteria, a score, essentially. Mm-hmm. So we have every market, as 218 or so in the U.S. that are considered like major demographic areas, that we have ranked. Then, after that kind of set of rankings, there's kind of the art piece, which is, what's the competitive landscape? Are there strategic priorities? Do we have a good hire there? We've been able to staff the market. What's the kind of the culture of the city? Like we said, we like to customize and create these unique programs. So we look at the kind of culture, personality of the small businesses. And so there's the science that goes into kind of the criteria of market selection, and then there's the art, which is kind of the external factors.
Got it. Great. I have to go back to, by the way, the punch in the stomach. So
yeah,
the famous punch in the stomach.
Yeah.
Tell us the story.
The punch in the stomach. So there's a comic book store in Andersonville called Alley Cat Comics. It was actually our very first location. So our first location ever. Customer? Our very first.
So yeah. That's the question I like to have, is what's your first customer?
Yeah, Alley Cat Comics in Andersonville.
How'd you get them on? Start with how you got them on board, because I think that's how we all love our first customer more than anybody else, because you wouldn't be a business without it.
Yeah, so through the entrepreneurial community, I knew a bunch of guys at Tapney and some of the other guys that that had built companies here, and some of these guys were obviously big comic book fans. They went to the store, some of them had invested and tried to help open the business. And so they told me, oh, this guy just opened a comic book store. He's new, the business is a little bit slow, like you should go talk to him. So I knew that he, one, worked the register, which is obviously critical when selling to small, medium-sized businesses. The hardest challenge, the number one challenge to overcome by far is getting a hold of or in front of what we call the DM, or the decision maker. So that was criteria number one. So we knew he'd be there, and we went in and pitched him on the concept. We had something that's obviously critically important too, is we were able to create some sense of credibility or relevance, because we knew people that shopped there often. We knew their names. We knew some of the investors, and so we were able to create that sense of credibility and that sense of relevance to him before we had any other locations. And he was a new business, so he was willing to try it out. Obviously, it helped that we offered it to him for free. And so when he agreed to install, was the same day we got approved from the App Store. The day we got approved from the App Store, we went up and sold the business and drove up and installed that day. And so when we installed, it was first, okay, shit, is this thing going to work? And once we figured out that it actually worked, it was, okay, what are we going to do to create your rewards? So this guy's a comic book store owner. He's got a little bit of a gut like me. I mean, he's a quirky guy, but it's also a comic book store. They have these big graphics on the wall that are like the BAM pop, whatever it is, like the old Batman.
Yeah, right, sure.
Those big graphics from POW, yeah. And so he had some of those in store. So we started talking about different ideas of different giveaways. And we obviously had the standard, get a free back issue comic book, get a regular kind of graphic novel. At that store we did You Pick the Movie for movie night. They do movie night every Wednesday. So those are some of the more personal ones. And then we started to get up to some of the higher level rewards. And we knew, in the iteration, talking to customers, we knew that building a loyalty program was much more than just about discounts. It was much more than $2 off or $3 off. I mean, loyalty to a small business is not about getting do you have a favorite coffee shop or a favorite sandwich shop?
I go to Wishbone.
You go to Wishbone. You don't go there probably because you get $2 off every 6th time you visit.
No.
You go there because they have great product, great service. It's close to your house.
Great people, great food.
Yeah, the culture, the personality. It feels like somewhere where you want to spend your time. And so that's what we're trying to create, is these experiences. We're trying to create these personal connections, not just with the business, but with the staff, with the owner, with the brand, the culture, the personality. And so, we were sitting there talking to Nick, who's the owner of Alley Cat Comics, and I don't know, maybe he just looks like a punchable guy, but it was just one of the ideas we came up with. He was on board with it. He was willing to take that hit to the stomach. So we added it to his loyalty program, and it's gotten a lot of press since.
And did he get punched?
The funny thing is loyalty programs are, they're intended to take some time to earn. So we always get asked. We have these high point value rewards, like we have a Ben & Jerry's location where you can earn enough points that Jerry will fly in and have ice cream with you. We have stores where the owner will take you to Vegas. We have these crazy, the shave your barber's beard and all these things that they create as these high point value rewards. But those are intended to take a lot of time to earn. He's got people that have been saving pretty aggressively. But the best part for that store, for that comic book store, is what he probably didn't realize was as we grew, we started to get some PR. As that reward started to get publicized, he started to get some PR. And every time like a newspaper came through or a blog or whatever it was they wanted to write about, and they always wanted to get a picture of Nick getting punched in the stomach. So he's gotten punched a lot.
But no one's earned the reward.
Well, he's had, I think, 3 customers earn the reward and punch him legitimately. He's been punched 20, 30 times. The best was when you have cameras in there, camera crews in there, and they want, they need the perfect
second
shot.
take.
He gets punched 20 times for one photo shoot. Yeah, that was a mistake for him, but it's been good for his business.
That's great. What a great story. So you've been a mentor. You've had mentors. Talk a little bit about one of the questions here is how does someone get a mentor, and what are the best things you've learned from your own mentors?
How do you get a mentor? I think the most important thing is to be involved. I think I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always knew I wanted to be in startups. It's kind of a lot of people have hobbies. A lot of people have other interests. Like, I don't. It's just kind of all I kind of care about. It's just kind of all I do. And so even when I was working at Redbox, when the company got big, I just tried to be around startups, to be involved in kind of the entrepreneurial community. So while I was at Redbox, I was working with, going into Accelerate Labs, working with TapMe, was a company in Chicago that I started working with when I was at Redbox. Redbox was their first corporate sponsor. That was a deal I worked on with them. And so it was just it was about being around entrepreneurs. Started volunteering for a program with the CEC in Chicago called Future Founders. And that was kind of teaching entrepreneurship and startups to underprivileged schools in kind of mostly south side of Chicago. And through those types of programs, at the CEC, volunteering with Future Founders, Kevin Willer became the head of the head of the CEC. And being a volunteer and spending a lot of time as a judge and through other things, I became, friendly with Kevin Willer. Neil from Code Academy, from Starter League, was also a volunteer with Future Founders. We met 2 years ago or so as volunteers, and he started, him and Mike started Code Academy around at the same time we started Belly. So, I mean, those were some of those early connections. Mark Ackler was one of the guys that came to work at Redbox. Found out that he was, very actively involved in the entrepreneurial community. So I did whatever it took in order to go work for him. I changed departments, took a pay cut, reduced role in order to work directly for him. And he obviously taught me a lot about networking, and he taught me a lot about, how to meet and how to introduce, and he made a lot of connections for me. So it's really about kind of finding and seeking out those opportunities where you can be around the people that you want to be, that you want as kind of your mentor or your